for a ginger mead. I've always done it in the secondary, so if I'm going to do that with any other, assertive flavors, I might as well just make a big batch and kind of go with it from there.
Yeah, true. So, whole spices in the batch, or make a tea and add it after?
I'll usually do a tea, and just, slow simmer for a while, especially with ginger. Ginger, I like it to get, nice and soft and get... Mm-hmm. I like the ginger to bite back. I put a lot of ginger in there.
Yeah, I like my ginger that way, too.
Yeah, it should have some, kick to it. There shouldn't be any question. If you open the bottle, people should be asking you, if you're, making pad thai or something. It's...
Tom Kha mead. Yeah, I like it. I'm a big fan of nasty, scary ginger ale, so... Blenheim's being the baseline, so... Yeah.
Oh, man.
And then up from there.
That's funny, but you don't like capsicums.
No, I do like peppermills, but it's just that I like well-designed ones, not the ones that are
She just doesn't like them hot.
Well, no, I do like them hot, but they should be balanced, and a lot of capsicum are so out of balance that it's like pepper, and you're so busy flipping over the pepper that you never even notice it's in a mead. It's just okay, it's all ghost pepper all the time. But if you get a well-balanced one, I've drunk several of peppers that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole if they were by themselves, and liked them. I can't drink a lot of it because it gets to me, but I like them,
Well, that and the hot from ginger and the hot from from peppers hits you differently.
It does, yeah.
Because I've been at one point I was using a lot of an herbal preparation for pain control that involved a lot of capsicum, and I was pretty much immune to suicide wings at that point, but ginger still hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, ginger's more like wasabi sort of heat.
Yeah, they're different. They're different heats.
Yeah, they definitely work differently. So, as long as we're on the subject of spices, what are your favorite spices to work with?
Love cinnamon. Love ginger. I like doing orange blossom with lime and mint. Mint tea seems to just work really well with everything I make.
Interesting.
So those would probably be my top three.
Just regular mint, like peppermint, or is there a particular kind of mint that you lean towards?
I'll do a combination of pepper and spear.
Interesting. Man,
how do you handle mint when you do you put that in secondary? Do you ferment with it, or do you use oil?
Or you make it?
I'll usually do a fresh tea. Yeah.
Okay.
Just sit there and boil it, and there's no real math behind how much I add. It just comes down to I'll smell it to see how potent it is, and depending on how potent it is, I'll adjust how much I'm using. If you get fresh mint from your garden versus getting some from the store, the profile on it might be a little bit different. It might be a little older, so it's lost a little bit of that oil that was in there, that spiciness.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a half dozen kinds of mint growing out in my yard. Every time my husband mows the lawn, it smells so good out there.
It comes back to... Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, you know how it is. It just takes over.
Yeah. Well, so it comes back to one of the things that was really, and I don't want to say beaten into me, but something I realized talking to Bobby Slans and some other people about building flavor. It's just like cooking, right? It's you want to sit there and taste until it gets where you want. You don't say, okay, this recipe says in the secondary do 2 ounces of turmeric or something like that. No, you want to put it in there and taste it until it's where you want it to be. Don't just follow the recipe. It has to be also what you like. As much as it, somebody else loved that recipe, there's nothing wrong with you making it your own and making it taste like what you imagined it to taste like instead of what somebody else's preference was.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I taste mine all the way through, and adjust as I go. So, and that's one of the reasons why I like doing my spices as teas, because, you get halfway through the ferment and realize it doesn't have enough cinnamon, or, it needs more ginger or something like that. You can adjust a lot more easily than if you just flung a handful of it in there,
Yeah, you can't take it out if you put too much, but you could always add more if you need to.
You can always add more, yeah. I tend to underspice at the beginning because it's so easy to go over. I mean, I did the same thing with cloves at one point, and it was, it's really fun to drink until you can't feel your face anymore.
So you put 50 cloves in yours too? Okay, I don't feel bad anymore.
Yeah. Well, the first time I ever did a JAO, even though it says all the way through it, don't mess with this, just do it this way. What did I tell you about changing this?
Mess with it.
Yeah, and I did anyway, because come on, I have Gotmead.com. Of course, I know better than Joe does. So. Yeah,
I think everybody does that.
Yeah, it
and
was
then
good.
they do it the proper way.
Yeah, it was good, but it left your face numb, So yeah, I mean that's it. I like the way I like adjusting taste. I love the analogy of make mead the way you cook, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people that don't really feel. They don't feel that, can't cook, yeah, or they're just somebody who doesn't cook intuitively. I mean, I don't follow recipes, or if I do, I'm messing with it like practically from the moment I start. And
some of us cook like that, and then there are other people who who don't know how to cook without a recipe.
Yeah,
I have. Unless I am making up a spice mix, I don't ever have a measuring spoon anywhere near my spice jars. It's just, that looks like enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, or that smells good,
Yeah, I just say I fits with it until it smells right. I mean, I have the recipes that we make for what we eat are things that we have invented over the years. Things like
but you make those often enough. You don't really have a recipe written down. You just keep doing it.
Well, and I never had one to begin with. But it's like it's just. But it's one of those things where for instance, we make this thing called rice mess, and actually we call it lamb mess because it's
lamb mess. You told me how to make that.
Yeah, I told you how to make lamb mess, and you can do it, and it's basically rice or some other similar base, and spice it the way you want it. Throw in some veggies. I like to add a can of corn, and then I'll saute up a pound of ground lamb or ground beef or ground chicken or whatever I'm feeling. Usually I like the lamb, so. And I'll spice that up however I'm feeling like spicing it up. Sometimes it's Italian spice. Sometimes it's Mediterranean spice. Sometimes it's Middle Eastern spiced. And this is me like sorting through my spices, and I've literally got like 50 jars of spices in my house, and that's on a slow day. And I'll be going and I'll be opening jars. My husband will cook up the lamb and he'll go, "Okay, honey, it's your turn." And he'll go sit in the living room while I sit there and open up spice jars and stick my nose in them until I find the one that's the right one for today. And then I'll add that to it, and I'll taste it, and I'll add, and I'll taste, and I'll add, and I'll taste until I get it right. And then I'll go, wait, that's not, I need some garlic. We'll put some garlic in there. Okay, no, we need some more of this over here. Oh, I need some, of this. And so, and I don't know what I did. I just did it until it seemed right, and that's what we make. And so it's never the same thing twice. Never.
And like the analogy I use when I talk to people is a pinch of salt, right? Like my pinch of salt is going to be different than your pinch of salt. We're both seasoning it, but it's not going to be the same. You need to taste it and see if it's what you want. It's going to be a different amount, even though the recipe says a pinch of salt, right?
Yeah.
How big are your thumbs?
Well,
we're not going to go there.
You scare people. You scare people when you tell them things like that. A lot of people need to be told the exact amount, and I'm like, I don't know. It's this. It's a pinch. It's what it is.
Till it tastes right.
Till it tastes right, yeah.
I actually do have that listed in a couple of recipes. Add milk until the texture's right, or, knead until it feels right, or, it's you just have to have a basic knowledge.
You gotta use.
And I guess it's the same with meat. You have to have an idea of what you want.
Like I threw somebody a curveball one time, and they're like, how much garlic powder and onion powder do you put in when you make an omelet? And I tell them, a couple sprinkles, and they're like, okay, yeah, cool, and they get ready to hang up. And I asked them, well, what size eggs are you using? And then they just blew their mind because they didn't think that the egg size means that you're going to have more eggs to season. And they just hung up on me because they were pissed off.
Oh, you shouldn't mess with people like that. But it's so much fun. Yeah, when my friends are like, so how do you make? There's this shrimp dish we like to make, and it's shrimp sautéed in butter with whatever spices I'm feeling that day, with a can of coconut milk and some more spices and some veggies, and it's an easy one dish meal. And I've given this to so many friends, and they're all like, so exactly how much? And I'm like, I don't know until it's right. And then they get mad at me. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know what to tell you.
It's because you're making a spectacular dish. You're now the forefront of people who can make this, and you're an expert, and people want to know exactly how to reproduce it. What you're doing is you're producing a recipe that's...
It's not a recipe.
Like Sir Kenelm Digby said, prepare these spices in the usual way.
In the usual way. 450 years ago, yeah.
Well, my mead recipes in my log end up looking like that. After the first couple, I wrote down exactly what I did for all of everything, and then it's like, yeah, as per usual.
Yeah.
So pretty much all my recent mead logs are is the list of ingredients, any deviations from my standard operating procedure, and then, specific gravity and acidity readings.
Yeah.
And then, date when I bottled it. Or, if I had to dose it with anything, when I racked it, that type of thing.
Yeah, back when I first started making mead, they were still throwing Irish moss in there.
Holdover from the beer days, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Then again, that brings up one of the questions that one of our Gotmeaders has been curious about, is how many people like to put bentonite in up front?
Not since 1983.
It's actually an increasing popularity practice because of the...
Well, they have you do it at the wine kits, so why not?
What's a buffer? Why are they doing it?
A pH buffer, it doesn't actually change anything, but it keeps fluctuations at them. It keeps the fluctuations down.
No, I'm saying, are they using it? Are they using it as a buffer? Is that what it is, or for the fruit clarity?
As far as I know,
bentonite's
used mostly as a flocculant to clear.
It's basically pre-clearing your mead.
And
what you're putting it up front. Okay.
Yeah.
You're putting it up front so that it's getting one of the. Sorry, I did actually work at the water filtration plant. Flocculants.
There's been a lot of talk on the mead maker board lately about using bentonite.
Flocculants need a lot of agitation so that the way it works is the particles have to come in contact with each other, and the more agitation you have, the more likely they are to bang into each other and stick, and then become bigger particles, which settle out easier. And, so that's why, it seems counterintuitive if your wine is cloudy to stir it up more. But it actually can make it drop clearer, because what you're doing is giving all the particles a chance to glom together. And doing this in advance, I've made a number of wine kits, and they always have you put the bentonite in at the beginning. And I guess that vacuums up all the little particles that are, byproducts, because pretty much anything else that's going to happen after the fact is going to settle out on its own. Or at least that's what I figure. And, I've done it a couple of times on some batches. I might try it with a banana batch if I ever decide to work with bananas again. If I do, please tell me.
I remember
that. 10 years I've been waiting for that batch to drop clean.
Okay, leading into another interesting question. What's the hardest mead you ever made, Alex? That gave you the most trouble, that you, tore your hair out over?
I don't even know if you can call it a mead, because it was made with the honeydew instead of the honey. Oh. So I was working or visiting our the apiary that we get our honey from, and they had these jars of what they called pine honey. And I'm sitting here, I'm trying to picture flowers on a pine tree. I'm like, oh, pine trees don't have flowers. That's not right. So I'm talking to them, like, no, it's actually a honeydew. The bees collect the sap from the pine trees and use that to make the honey. So they'll collect sap from the trees, or sap from the bugs on the trees, or whatever. And it had this ridiculous herbaceous quality to it. It was, I guess, for lack of a better word, it smelled really dank. So I was like, man, I could make something out of this, and this could probably pass, if I did a session, it could probably pass for an IPA. with a little bit of extra sugar to it.
Yeah.
And